Hi everyone. So, in our construction class, I'm going to be reading some books to you that talk about the different science of building things. So, this is the science of structures. If you go around Sheboygan or even some of the bigger cities, you're going to see lots of buildings. Some of them are tall skyscrapers, some are just single family homes, but there's a lot of science that goes into building these things. Okay, so what do you know about structures? Okay, look up. Is there a ceiling over your head? If there is, it is probably held up by walls that stand on a floor. You are inside a building of some kind. A building is a type of structure. Houses, churches, bridges, tunnels, stores, and schools are all structures. Most structures are built to be sturdy and to keep up the forces of nature, such as wind, snow, and rain. Okay. Structures come in many shapes and sizes. Some structures provide shelter and safety. Others help us get from place to place. Structures are made from many different materials. Some are made of clay, straw, or other materials found in nature. Others are built with manufactured materials such as steel, glass, or concrete. People have been building structures for many centuries. Structures built by people are artificial. All other structures are natural. Okay, so if you can see in this picture right here, the structure is made from natural materials, things that you're going to see in nature, like trees or straws or hay. Okay, in this house right here, we have concrete and bricks. These are manufactured materials. They are used to make stronger structures in which people can live and work on. Okay. So, structures can be made from many types of materials. Each material has special features that make it useful for building. Some materials are better than others for building certain kinds of structures. For example, glass is the best material for building an aquarium, which is a place where fish live. Building a house out of glass, however, is not a good idea. A glass house would be too warm inside. Okay, so we have stone, and stone is found in nature. Most often, limestone is used. It is strong and long lasting. It can be used whole or it can be cut into blocks. For some examples of stone buildings are the pyramids of Egypt, castles, and marble buildings. There's also clay. Clay is soil that has fine particles, soft and sticky when it's wet, and hard when it's dry. It can be made into bricks. Brick houses, chimneys, and fireplaces are all examples of where clay is used. We also see a lot of wood. As we all know, wood comes from trees. It's also pretty easy to use and can be held together with nails. Log cabins, beaver lodges, and bird nests all use wood. And two of those structures are even natural structures. Can you guess which two? If you guess the beaver and the bird nest as being natural structures, you're right. All right, now we're getting to the manufactured structures. Concrete is like stone but made by people. It's strong when it's dry and can be poured in any shape when it's wet. Office buildings and house foundations a lot of times are concrete. Glass is made from melted sand. Did you know that? That's pretty cool, right? The light shines through the glass and can be made in many colors. Greenhouses, skylights, and windows are all examples of glass. All right, then we have steel. Steel is used in most large buildings today. It is very strong. It can be melted and molded into shapes. Skyscraper frames, bridges, and the Eiffel Tower are all made from steel. Really big tools. Humans have used tools for many centuries. Tools help build bigger and bigger structures. Building today's huge structures require really big tools and specially trained people to use them. Bulldozers clear away soil and rubble from construction sites. They are used to flatten a large piece of land on which a structure will be built. The backhoe loggers dig large holes in the ground. These holes can be filled with concrete to make foundations for houses and other buildings. Excavators are like backhoe loggers, but they are much larger. They are used to dig large, deep foundations for structures such as skyscrapers or underground parking lots. Tunnel boring machines are giant drills. They dig tunnels underground by twisting and turning as they grind their way through soil and rock. Pile drivers are huge hammers that pound big upright beams called piles deep into the ground. Piles support heavy structures. A pile driver has a heavy weight that is lifted into the air, then dropped into a pile. The weight drives the pile into the ground. Interesting. They also have cranes. They are tall lifting machines. They raise heavy building supplies to the tops of high structures. We've probably seen those around, right? Okay. Would you like to design structures? People who do this kind of work are called architects. The job of an architect combines both art and science. Architects design structures that are interesting to look at. They also know how to make structures safe. Before a structure can be built, many questions must be answered. Architects help answer these questions. Where should the structure be built? How much money will the structure cost? How can the structure be made to look attractive? What kind of building materials should be used? What is the best way to build a safe structure that will last a long time? Architects first made drawings or models of a structure to show what the structure will look like when it has been built. Today, computer models are often used to show a three-dimensional image of a completed structure. Architects earn university degrees. Then, after working with experienced architects, they take tests. If they pass the test, they receive a license to work on their own. There are a lot of different steps in order to be an architect. Okay. There are a lot of different people involved into the planning stage. Many people with many different skills are going to work together through the planning stage. The first, probably the most important, is the client. Okay? The client has to decide that they want to have a structure built. And it could be anyone from someone who just wants a house built to their dimensions, to fit their needs, or it could be a bank who wants a really tall building to house all their employees. Okay? Clients usually have ideas about what the structure should be like. They also have an idea of how much money they want to spend to build the structure. Architects work with the clients to design the structure. They create the drawings and models for the clients to look at. They also make changes when clients ask for them. Engineers work with architects on the large projects. They select the best materials to use. They also use any equipment the structure will need, such as elevators. We don't want to walk up 100 flights of stairs. Elevators would then need to be included. A draftsperson creates a detailed drawings of the structure. They need special tools and information collected from architects and engineers to complete the drawings. Okay. Then they have the building contractors who are in charge of getting the structure built. They find out how much the structure will cost and how long the project will take to complete. They also hire the people needed to build the structure. Okay. We also then have interior designers who decide how the inside of the structure will look. They choose colors for the carpets and walls of the building. They might also choose some of the furniture. Interior designers are going to work with the clients a lot of times to pick out their favorite colors and help them decide which colors go best with what carpet colors. But they also might decide, how many tables or desks they might need for like a bank, and help people find the interior, the inside of the house, to make it as comfortable and as attractive as possible. And lastly, we have the landscape artists, which makes the grounds around the structure look nice. They design fountains and green spaces. They also choose trees and other plants. And a lot of times they're choosing plants for the type of climate that the structure is in. For example, in Wisconsin, a landscape artist is not going to be planting palm trees. No. They might instead use oak or pine or even evergreens, which look really nice in the wintertime. Okay, then we go into the building stage. Materials, machines, and builders all come together at the building stage. Building starts when the designing and planning stages are finished. The building stage includes all the work that turns materials into a finished project, a structure. A building contractor is in charge of this stage, but usually hires a superintendent to help. The superintendent orders materials, gets equipment, and hires the workers. The superintendent also draws up a schedule that shows when each step of the work should be completed. In this particular here, you might see a welder. Welders join together pieces of metal. So welder's definitely necessary for most structures. Okay. For each type of work needed to complete the structure, the superintendent gets help from a person called a foreman. One foreman might be in charge of all the concrete workers. Another foreman might be in charge of all the steel workers. The workers or tradespeople who build the structure each have special skills. They might be concrete workers, welders, carpenters, or truck drivers. Structures are made of many parts. Each part must be strong and must work well for a structure to be safe and sound. Every part of a structure has a special purpose. A foundation is at the bottom of a structure. It supports the structure's weight. The foundation also holds the structure together in case the ground beneath it or around it moves. Strong materials, such as wood or metal, are joined together to create a framework of a structure. The framework holds up the structure and creates the shape. Wooden beams are nailed together to build the framework of most houses in North America. Sheets are flat pieces of wood, metal, or other material used to cover the outside of a structure. They help protect the inside of the structure from wind, snow, and rain. Roof shingles are an example of sheets. Insulation is placed between the outside and inside surfaces of a building. Insulation keeps out heat and cold. Bridges to cross. Bridges are structures built across rivers, ravines, and bays. They help people travel quickly and safely from one place to another. Early bridges were often fallen trees placed across small streams. Only one or two people could cross at a time. Today's bridges are much larger and stronger. Most bridges are for people and cars. Some are just for trains. Others can support people, cars, and trains, all at the same time. A suspension bridge, which you're going to see in this bottom picture here, hangs from very strong ropes called cables. The cables are attached to tall posts or towers. Sometimes trees are used as posts for small bridges. Steel towers support larger suspension bridges. A suspension bridge can be wider and longer than any other kind of bridge. Here's a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge in California. It is a suspension bridge. It spans 4,200 feet over a part of San Francisco Bay. And it's one of the biggest suspensions in the world. Okay, here we have the girder. A girder or beam bridge is the most simple kind of bridge. It is a flat roadway that rests on piers. Arch bridges, that's our last one here, are stronger than girder bridges because they can support more weight. Arch bridges can be longer than girder bridges. Arch bridges can also be higher than girder bridges. They can be built tough enough for tall ships to pass but underneath. If you ever go to Bay Beach, after you pass Bay Beach is a large arch bridge. Pretty cool, huh? Tunnels are structures built underground or underwater. Some tunnels go through mountains or other cities. Others go beneath rivers and channels. Tunnels make travel through these areas faster and safer. Roads and subways go through tunnels. Some tunnels also carry water, waste, or wiring. Building a tunnel can be dangerous. Engineers must plan carefully. Tunnel boring machines are used to make large holes underneath, but they cannot dig through very hard rock. To dig through rock, engineers drill small holes in the rock and fill the holes with explosives. The explosives blast the rock apart, creating part of a tunnel and a big mess. All of the rubble from the explosion must be removed to clear the tunnel. While digging a tunnel, workers use a metal shield to keep soil and rocks from falling onto them and their machines. When the tunnel is finished, supports and concrete ceiling keep the tunnel from collapsing. Tunnels are often built from both ends at the same time. Engineers must make sure that the two sections meet perfectly underground. Some cities have little room for new buildings. The only way to build large new structures is straight up. Skyscrapers and towers are the tallest artificial structures in the world. Skyscrapers are tall buildings with many floors stacked on top of each other, as you can see in the picture. These buildings contain homes, offices, restaurants, and stores. Towers are large structures too, but they usually do not have homes or offices in them. Some towers have no rooms at all. Tall structures are very heavy. They contain a lot of building materials. What keeps them from breaking down under their own weight? Most skyscrapers and towers have a strong framework. It is made of steel and goes deep into the ground. Also, the top sections of skyscrapers and towers are often made of materials that weigh less than those used to build the bottom sections. People have been building large structures for a very long time. The pyramids in Egypt were built more than 4,500 years ago. The largest pyramid is called the Great Pyramid. It contains nearly 2.5 million limestone blocks. It took 100,000 men 20 years to build the Great Pyramid. Workers used only simple tools and ropes. They measured and carved out each block of stone. Then they moved the stones to the building site. It took many men to pull the heavy blocks over log rollers. This Great Pyramid was the tallest artificial structure until the Eiffel Tower was built in 1889. Pretty cool, huh? How did the workers raise the stone blocks to the top of the pyramid? Many historians believe they dragged the blocks by slanting ramps. When the pyramid was finished, the ramps were removed. Over 2,000 years ago, the Chinese built a large structure called the Great Wall. As you can see in this picture right here. That's not a road, that's a wall. This wall stretches about 1,500 miles across China. The Great Wall is made of granite blocks and rubble. It is 20 to 30 feet high. In some places, it has two walls with a gap between them. The gap is filled with earth. The tallest of them all. Some of the most famous structures in the world are also the tallest, or were the tallest for a while. Every day, engineers work on new projects all over the world. They're always thinking of ways to build structures that are even taller than the tallest structure. So we're starting with the Great Pyramid. It is in Egypt. The Great Pyramid was built between 2660 BC and 2560 BC. It is the largest stone structure in the world when it was built. It was 481 feet high. And we got the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is in France. The Eiffel Tower was completed in 1889. At 984 feet tall, it was almost twice as high as any other structure, and is famous for being one of the tallest structures in the world. It is until some of these other buildings were built. So we have up here the Empire State Building. That is in the United States of America. The Empire State Building was finished in 1931. It was the tallest building in the world for more than 40 years. This structure is 1,250 feet tall, and it has 73 elevators. That's a lot of elevators. However, it got beat up by the Sears Tower, also in the United States. In 1974, the Sears Tower became the tallest building in the world. It is 1,450 feet tall. And then came the Petaurus Towers. That is in Malaysia. It was built in 1998. The Petaurus Towers are now the tallest structures. They are 1,483 feet tall. That's really tall. And I don't know about you, but I'm not sure I would want to walk across what looks like a little walkway way high in the sky. I don't know. It's a little tall for my liking. Structures in nature. Some animals are great architects. They build structures that help them survive in their surroundings and stay safe. Most animal homes are made of strong materials. Some contain many chambers. Alright guys, as much as we don't like bees, honeybees, believe it or not, make their homes out of wax. They build many chambers where they lay eggs and store honey. And their hives can survive pretty strong weather here. So as much as we don't like the bees, they're really good architects. These other animals we don't like so much either. This is a termite mound, and it can be as large as a house. Up to 1 million termites can live in chambers inside. Orioles, which you might see around Wisconsin, make nests that look like baskets. It takes an oriole 4 to 15 days to build a nest. So they have a ceiling, they've got walls, they've got a foundation. That's pretty smart for a bird. Beavers build dams and lodges in lakes and streams. The inside of a beaver lodge is a living chamber, has a living chamber, a food chamber, and even a bathroom. Really? A bathroom? These are some smart animals here. Green structures. Okay. This is kind of the big thing right now. Architects face many design challenges. One is to create green structures, which are buildings that do as little damage to the environment as possible. Power for green structures often comes from renewable energy sources. Solar power and wind power are renewable sources of energy. How can structures harm the environment? Well, forests are cut down to build structures. Some building materials release dangerous gases into the air. Energy is needed to heat and light homes and offices. Burning fuels to create some of this energy pollutes the environment. Okay, so here's some things that they do. Right here, you're going to see solar panels. Solar panels collect energy from the sun during the day. Solar energy can provide heat and electricity. A lot of times, barns now and farms will have solar panels to help run the farm. It's one thing they are doing to stay green. The green on the Grand Building in Kitchener, Canada, is a green structure. It uses half the energy and water that most similar buildings use. You can keep the environment green. Follow these simple rules to avoid wasting energy and materials. Turn off the lights whenever you leave a room. Turn off televisions, radios, and computers when you are not using them. Instead of turning up the heat during cold weather, put on a sweater. Recycle newspapers, aluminum cans, plastic, and glass. The end. Hope you enjoyed the book, guys.